On this week's Lokar Car Show, we're straddling the Virginia-Tennessee state line on State Street in downtown Bristol for the Bristol Hot Nights Car Show. Jim Powers and Wenda Prout bought this 1946 Business Coupe as a half project from an older gentleman.
The car was built in Cumberland, Rhode Island by a man named Bob Colgan, National Street Rod State Representative. Well, there were just more or less some electrical issues, but it took me about 2 years to figure those issues out. She's fine and dandy now, and you hop in that car and drive from here to California and back. It's the most comfortable car you ever sat down in for a street rod. It's got a 1993 Camaro Z28 LT1 motor transmission, Mustang 2 front suspension with a 9-inch four-door end, power windows, air, power everything. It's like a Cadillac. Get out of the garage, go to cruise ins at least once a week, maybe sometimes twice. Like today, we'll be here and going to Elizabeth and tomorrow. And it's just it. It's just a weekend thing.
Cochise Cummings explained that he obtained this 1951 Ford Coupe after a friend found it. He bought it, took it home, and built it from the ground up.
Well, I built this car. Found the car, a friend of mine found the car, and it was all stock body and all, had a 289 Ford in it. And I bought the car, took it home, and started working on it. And we chopped the top, took the wind spears out of the side, put the 350 Chevrolet motor transmission in it, lowered it, put the Cadillac taillights in, Frenched in 55O's headlights in front. Freddie Hale down here in Bristol upholstered the car for me. It's got a 55O's dash, just a lot of custom stuff that you just don't see them do anymore. Well, an old friend of mine I ran around with for years, Bobby Simpson, he loved to build lead sleds, and I've always wanted one, and so I bought this one, and Bobby was going to build it, but he passed away just as we was getting ready to build it, and so I had to do it myself. It took me about 5 years to build this car. To me, it's worth it. I love the old car. I drive it. I've been offered a good price for it, but I won't sell it because it's, I don't want to go through building another one. But I've had this car in Florida. I've had it in New Jersey, Indiana. I drive this car everywhere. When I go to shows, I drive it. I don't trailer it. If you see it on a trailer, it's been stolen. It's a good driving car. It's got power steering, power brakes, air. It rides just like a new car. Rides and drives just as good as a new one. I was wanting something different, so I laid it out myself. It was a little rough doing like that, but I seen one similar on an old coupe, and I decided I'd just go with that kind of paint job. Yeah, I do. It turns a lot of heads, gets a lot of looking, gets a lot of pictures taken of it. That makes it worth it to me.
A gentleman from Don Booth's Car Club brought in this 1932 Plymouth. Don got to work sprucing it up and polishing the chrome on it.
I had one of the gentlemen in the club found it over in North Carolina and brought it in, and then I just started working on it, kept polishing and chroming. All the paint work and everything, I had to go over it and redo it, and just gradually take time. I've had it for about 6 years now. Drive it all the time. It's on the road constantly. It's not too bad. It's still got the old shocks and everything under it, but I'm getting ready to change all the shocks and stuff out, which will give it a lot smoother ride. But it runs out pretty decent. I can run alongside of you on the interstate all day long. So it'll run 70, 80 miles an hour all day. Of course, now it's not stock. It's a little ways from stock, but I'm running a 74 Ford Mustang V6 in it with a 4-speed automatic. Got a Chevrolet rear end under it.
We'll be right back with more amazing cars on the Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group. The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, is brought to you by Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener, Brothers Truck Parts, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GM truck restoration. Original Parts Group, world-class restoration parts, Lokar performance products, quality, plain and simple. Natalie Whitlock told us she loves her 1962 Corvette because she has a need for speed. But she admitted that she also likes traveling with Hank Brown in their 1969 VW bus.
This was my baby. I have a need for speed, and but then we also like to drive our Volkswagen bus too. And I like for Hank to drive it so he can't keep up with me.
Yeah, we definitely can't keep up with that Corvette.
My dad restored it several years ago and did a really good job with it, so it sounds great. I leave him sitting at traffic lights. We were driving down here, and I would look in my rearview mirror, and he was nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
so.
She had to wait on me several times.
Yeah. Well, I have always loved Volkswagens. I think I'm like reincarnated from the 60s or something, and so when we got married, I had another bus. I had a blue one. And it kept breaking down, and we sold it, and we've regretted it ever since. And so we finally decided a little while ago to get us another one. And so this is Kermit. And so Kermit lives with us here in Bristol, and we just really love him. So we kind of like the speed, but then sometimes we like to slow it down and just kind of have our peaceful vibe. It was completely restored, just like it is now. It's got the original engine in it that's been rebuilt, so it's got the 50 horsepower. So it really won't pull a hat off your head, but we love it. It gets lots of attention. My dad actually found it, gosh, it's probably been 20 years ago, and he restored it. He's really into old cars too, so it's in my blood. I've always had an old car and driven old cars, and been used to, breaking down on the side of the road and showing them at car shows and stuff. So, but he found it. I'm not even actually sure where he found it. We've had it so long.
And she used to always follow her dad around to all these car shows like this, so she's an old pro at these things.
Yeah, I've grown up with it. I just love it. Our natural instinct is when we see an old car, we want to talk to you, we want to get to know you, we want to find out, when you restored it, what kind it is, how old it is. We want to climb under and look around, and if you see somebody by chance it's like broken down or something like that, our first reaction is to stop and help them. So I definitely think car people, and two, car people are always having car shows, to raise money for charity and do different things, so they're very giving.
4 years after telling a friend he wanted a 57 Chevy, Jamie Rector's friend called him about this 1957 Chevy Bel Air.
Had a friend that's a car dealer, and I'd always wanted a 57 Chevy, and told him if I ever found one to call me, and lo and behold, about 4 years after I told him that, he found it, and the rest is history. So I've had it 17 years. It was restored in the late 80s, and it just been sitting inside. It's one of those cars that I always wanted from the time I was little, and I've got it, and just set it there and bring it out every now and then and enjoy it. I enjoy the car show. I enjoy the car club here in Bristol. I've been president of it for 5 years. I'm vice president this year, and the car bug hit me at an early age, and sitting now I've got 4 cars, and I've got 3 of them here.
This 1901 Oldsmobile replica made Louis Lippo change course from another replica project that was inspired by a horse and carriage replica group.
I saw on TV horseless carriage replica group, and I started to build one, and then I got going through and I saw where it had plans for this one. So I went and I changed courses, and I built a replica of a 1901 Oldsmobile, and ordered parts off the internet and junkyards and motorcycle junkyards. And a little over 2 years to find the parts and get it going, but it took me another 2 years to get a motor in it that would work. And I tagged it in 2012, and it's street legal, and it's titled as a 1901 O's. I went through, that's my 3rd engine, and that's a 400 Honda motorcycle. I tried the Briggs & Stratton type. If I had any power, I didn't have any speed. I wanted it to be street legal. So I put a 400 Honda motorcycle in it. It's a 2-cylinder motorcycle motor. and it has a Honda 5-speed transmission. It also has an old service car Harley Davidson transmission. And I got to have that for reverse. But also when I get in the parade, I put the Harley in second and I shift with a Honda, and I don't have to ride my clutch through a parade.
It's time for Lokar Lowdown with Geoffrey Walls.
Today I'd like to show you our self-locking billet aluminum adjustable hood prop. For those of you working in the garage trying to lift up your hood, accidentally dropping it on your hands while you're trying to put the hood prop in place, we've come up with a solution for you. This hood prop self-locks in place. You lift the hood up all the way to the top and it'll lock. It's got 3 different levels. There's a version available with 6 different levels. We also offer it both in polished and in black. You can show off the car, just the motor in a low-key position, or have it all the way up again for you to work on it in your garage. Check out this and some of our other products at lokar.com. You can also request one of our free catalogs.
Welcome back to the Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group.
Hi, welcome to Bristol, Virginia, to the Hot Bristol Nights Antique Car Show. Once you visited the car show and enjoyed all the antique cars, take a moment to drive up into Southwest Virginia on the Appalachian Backroads sports car and motorcycle routes. There's 14 routes with elevation up to 4,300 feet of curvy, crooked riding and fantastic, beautiful overlooks. Once you visited the car show, take a moment to visit our famous Back of the Dragon, a beautiful, challenging route with crooked riding and great overlooks. It's one of our most popular routes, so for information on Back of the Dragon and other routes in the region, visit AppalachianBackroads.com.
Carl McKenna's plan was to retire and start a build, but he decided by the time he got done, he'd be too old and his grandkids would be all grown up. So instead, he bought this 1928 Ford sedan and started enjoying it right away.
Yeah, I'm here with one of my grandsons today, and another one should be coming any minute. I very seldom go to shows that one of them at least isn't with me. I'd love to say I built it. I used to be in the business of doing this, but it's been many years ago, and my plan was to build one as I retired, but I realized I was going to get too old and all my grandkids would be grown before I could do it. So I purchased this in California. Took a big step, went out there, looked at it, bought it, and had it shipped back home. Just like you see it. Although I have rebuilt the engine since then, it was not due to any problem that I had. But it was pretty much just like you see it. It's a Chevy 350, 330 horse, a crate engine, runs great, really good. For this light of a car, it's exceptional power. I've heard it described, it drives like a go-kart, does not have power steering, so it's a little bit tight in the parking lot, but man, out on the road, it's just smooth as silk, it really is, rides real good. I love to drive it, I love to give rides, love to go to shows, but the biggest fun I have is with my grandkids. Just this past season, I let one of my older grandsons take it to the prom even. And it was definitely a good thing. He had a lot of fun with it at the prom. It was a good night for him.
Kenneth and Laura Hampton said they felt fortunate when they found out the owner of this 1931 Ford Coupe was ready to get out of the antique car business. So they bought it and jumped right into the classic car lifestyle.
Well, I was fortunate enough to find a fellow that was getting out of the business, and I got in. I've done quite a bit to it, but it was basically pretty well done. I tried to keep it original as I could on the outside, but underneath I wanted it all out so I could drive and not worry. It's got power brakes, power steering. It's got a different front end under it. It's ready to go. You can get it and go anywhere you want to, pretty much. I get a lot of people that look and do the thumbs up, and
and that. I've fooled with old cars since I was 11 years old, and so it's a disease, I guess. But I love it. I love to be around them, love to look at them, see what other people do with theirs.
Original Parts Group Restoration Tip.
One of the easiest ways to make the front end of your 64, 65, and 66 Chevelle pop is by replacing the fender eyebrow moldings. These moldings have been sitting on the front of your car for years and have experienced pitting, oxidation, and could make the front end of your car look frankly drab. Now available from Original Parts Group and manufactured exclusively for Original Parts Group, we have these fender moldings that are stamped in aluminum and polished to a mirror finish. They come in as a pair, and all of the factory mounting hardware is available for ease of installation. As you can see here behind me, we have our beautiful 66 Chevelle here with one of our sets of aluminum eyebrow moldings, and that just really sets this car off. Now you can find this and thousands of other products at opgi.com.
We'll be right back with more amazing cars on the Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group. The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, has been brought to you by National Parts Depot. Make your dream happen. Appalachian Tourism. Virginia is for lovers. Croftgate USA, the only car care product you will ever need. Advertising Edge, the official uniform of the NHRA. A friend of Harold McCroskey's was disposing of some old cars, and Harold managed to latch on to this 1941 Lincoln Continental Coupe. The upholstery is the last job that was done by Freddie Hale, who started upholstering when he was only 14. Freddie's now in his 80s.
A friend of mine, Wayne O'Neill, was disposing of some cars for Bill DeBusk in Abingdon, Virginia. And there was 7 cars in one barn. And I went up and looked at the cars because he was selling them for his wife. He had passed away. And this was in a barn, been up there for 35 years. And I chose the Lincoln Continental because there was such, few amount of it was made. Well, you can imagine it was in a barn for 35 years. So it was pretty rough. The rocker panels, floor pans, all of that had to be replaced. And I done it all at my home in the basement. But I had friends that we've all fooled with old cars for years, and started out on the car. And Max Keys from Kingsport, he worked some on it. Wayne O'Neill in Bristol, he worked a lot on it. Charlie Whitaker, it's got a 32 Ford. The others got 32s. They all pitched in and helped me work on the car. It's got the late model suspension and stuff. It's got a Heights front end under it, 8-inch Ford rear end under it. It was taken right out of the cars. The same man that I bought the car from had a Ford, I think it's a 70-some model. It only had 51,000 miles out of it, and I bought it out of the same estate and just pulled the motor and transmission and put in this car. It's got all, I haven't put the air in it yet, but it's all wired up for air. It will have shortly. Oh man, it's great. It rides good.
Each week, Croftgate USA Car Care Products picks the best of show from the Lokar Car Show. This week's Best of Show award goes to Peggy Hamilton and her stunning 1936 Packard 120 Coupe.
I followed this car for about, 6 years, and finally it came up for sale and I ended up with the car. It was in, just restorable condition. We just had to start all over with it. We've got a 350 crate motor in it, suicided the doors. The original Packards stopped turning the doors in 1935. So I had my husband suicide the doors for me. We just completed it. It took us about 18 months. Been driving it, put about 1,500 miles on it right now. It's just fresh out. I'm really pleased with it.
That's all for this week's Lokar Car Show. From State Street on the state line in downtown Bristol, Virginia and Bristol, Tennessee. It looked like the weather might get in the way, but the rain let up right on time. So everyone was able to thoroughly enjoy the August Hot Nights Car Show. Hey, if you're a Chevy person, then you definitely need to be with us next week when we head to Bowling Green, Kentucky for the Tri-5 Nationals.